What's up, guys? This is What If the Z Warriors did gravity training. This will all take place. This will start off, of course, pre-Dragon Ball Z. So, no Saiyans or knowledge, or none of that shit. We just see Goku fuck Piccolo up. He gives him a Senzu Bean, Piccolo takes the fuck off. Now, I got this idea from another what-iffer who said, what if Goku did gravity training early? Now, he kind of made him out to be a little bit of an asshole in that. I'm not doing that. In this version, it was actually Krillin's idea. Because Goku talked about the hyperbolic time chamber and all that crap. And Krillin was like, wait, gravity training? And he actually asked Bulma if she could make a room like that. And she said, yeah, let me check. Bulma made one that goes up to 10 times Earth's gravity. And she said, hey, careful, it has 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, all the way up to that. And they start off gently, because they have nothing to train for. It's 4 years. But they do all want to catch up to Goku. And in the end, Bulma has created up even to a times 100 Earth's gravity. That's the level of gravity that it took Goku to become as strong as he was against Frieza. Now, note, he had 5 days to do it then. They all have, 5 years to make it that far. But we'll start off with year 1. Piccolo just died, but Goku off went training. And when Bulma called him and Chi-Chi said, hey, would you like a gravity chamber? I made one for the rest of the Z-Warriors because they wanted to catch up, but I figured you might want it too since you like to train. Goku said yes, he does want one. Although he didn't expect how heavy training everyone else was doing. They also were wearing weighted gear. By the end of the first year, none of them had a power level under 350. Let's just say at the end of the first training, Yamcha, having the lowest power level, is 355. Chaozu is only 350, but he's not really in this what if. More these guys. They're my main focus. Now, of course, we start off with, Krillin doing his Krillin thing and all that. Now, Krillin, he ain't untouchable. But he was actually training with Yamcha and with Tien. Now, more Tien than anyone, because Tien's the only one who really kept up with his training. Plus, he was another fellow bald brother, so they understood it. But Yamcha was not slacking. He was training with Roshi. Yeah, you might think, well, just Roshi, what's the point of that? Well, he was training with Roshi the entire time, as he's one of the turtle students at this point. You'd see them training, and Goku could tell that their power levels were getting higher. He just wasn't sure where exactly. I'll give them exact numbers after each year, okay? So at the end of the second year, each of them have a power level over 600. Goku is easily included. His power level is actually 630. Although at this point, Tien and Krillin have caught up with him. Both their power levels being 629 and 628. Comparable to Goku 630. You might think, wait, really? They're that close to him? Well, there's got to be something that's happening that causes Goku not to power up as fast. Well, yes, they're training harder than he is. And they ain't got a kid to worry about, but they're all training together. But Goku's training on his own and getting these kind of gains. So far, none of them have made it to times 10 Earth's gravity. They've all made it to roughly times 5, times 6 for the strong. Times 6 occasionally, but never to times 10. Now, this is only after the first year. This is after, the second year. Out of the 4 years that we're going to have before Raditz even shows up. So we see these 4 years go by, and we see Goku really getting gains from it. But he doesn't really train with the rest at this point. Now, here we're going for our 3rd year. With this point, Goku has figured out they've caught up with him. Even by the end of the 3rd year, Yamcha caught up with him. By the end of the 3rd year, Yamcha's power level was 997. Goku's was roughly 1,000. with weighted clothes, of course, but they're all weighted down at this point. So I'm giving you their weighted down clothes. Add 200 to their power levels for what they would be unweighted. Now, that's only for the 3rd year and up, so let's go. Now, we see that even Yamcha's on his ass. When they take their gear off, Goku's just a little bit of an edge stronger than him. But Tien and Krillin are on the same level. Like, they're between 998 and 999. They're that point. But we do also see that while Chiaotzu's not as much in this What If, he does gain some power. He's roughly that power level of 850. Because he doesn't train as much. Because he's kind of backing out of the main character status. But his magic is increasing, though. Remember that. It's going to come in handy later. So we see that they've all kind of caught up with Goku. And they actually wind up trying to meet up with Goku. And Goku's like, nah, man, I'm busy. I want to hang, but I can't right now. We'll see, maybe we'll set up this day, a year from now. And you know what? They say, yeah, sure. This being their planning for the Kame House. And this is when they've all reached 10 times Earth's gravity. Now, they're not exactly moving around in it much. They can barely move. They can't train in it. They can barely do what Trunks was doing when he was training with Vegeta. Pretty much that barely taking steps. And that's what they're doing. Now, when Bulma introduces them to the fact that she made a new gravity thing, they were training. They actually got a few senzu beans from Yajirobe and Korin. Now, this was good, and this is still when Yajirobe's, like, he sees that they've all gotten so much stronger, like, so much crazy stronger. He wants to train with them a little bit. So he gets some senzu beans and starts training with them. To the point where Yajirobe's power level, no, he hasn't been training as long as they have, but he's training with a bunch of people at their level in a gravity room that goes up to 50 times Earth's gravity with a shite load of senzu beans. Yeah, by the end of 4 months, his power level went from, I'd say, 50 to 100, all the way up, like he is training to try to be able to keep up with them, 897. But all of them have increased power levels now. We'll start with Goku. His power level by the time that this is over, and this is the final power level right when Raditz shows up, is at 2,100 weighted. Unweighted, it's at 2,500. Similar power levels to everyone else, just subtract 5 or 10 from each. Because Tien and Krillin, being the next in line, are actually tied with an even power level. Yajirobe and Yamcha are tied with their own power level. With weighted, 2,080. Unweighted, 2,299. And with Yamcha and Yajirobe, it is 2,080. Or no, 2,050. And 2,190. And this is their power levels. So even the weakest among them are stronger than Raditz. Now, we get to see that the only one who hasn't broken 1,000 yet is both Gohan, who trains slightly with his father between studies because physical activity is good for them. As basically Goku would talk to Chi-Chi, saying physical activity is good for him, he should train at least a little bit, not to become a meathead, but to learn how to protect himself. You know, Goku won't always be there, and they were both martial artists in their peak. And Chi-Chi even says, sure, I'll do some martial arts training with him, between studies. As Goku said, can I also train with my son? That way I can establish a better bond with him. And Chi-Chi understood this, said yes. Now, we're going to say that because of his freakishly crazy genetics and his overwhelming power, Gohan, no, this is not pissed off, not suppressed, nothing. Has a power level of 900 even. He does wear weighted bracelets, similar to wristbands. Yeah, pretty much like you see that all of them have those. He wears a weighted pair, but they're not very heavy, so his power level doesn't shoot up past 1,000. Now, unless he's pissed off, but this is just his regular base power level. It goes 900 suppressed when he's wearing the weighted gear, and then when he takes the gear off, it goes to about 950. Now, I might think, he's stronger than Goku was in canon at this point in time. Yes, he is. This is when we get to see Raditz appear, and he's looking for a high power level. First one he locks onto is 387. And you might think, everyone's way stronger than that. Who is he locking onto? Piccolo. Now, Piccolo, he's concerned. Because he knows the Z-Warriors are all way stronger than him. He's been trying to train by himself. Training by himself doesn't do shit. Because he has no gravity room, he has no proper training, he has nothing that can regenerate his health. He's just doing some light training, comparable to what he was doing in the original anyway. So when he goes to try to threaten Piccolo, Piccolo's confused, but he also knows that he'd lose this fight. So he points Raditz in the right direction. Now, you might think, why would he do that? Well, one, he knows that this is not a matter he can handle. He thinks this is a Goku problem. Now, we would see they're all meeting at Kame House, and the second Goku's boots hit the sand, you hear phew, as they see him fly into there. As he goes to scan everybody's power level, it's showing that none of them are at a high power level. He said the average power level on this planet should be 5. What the hell? This thing must be broken. And this is when Goku said it's not broken. No one here is weaker than you, except for the child, which is my son, and this small little pale dude, which I would not recommend fighting because his weird magic crap will fuck you up anyway. And this is when we see Raditz going, really, brother? This is your chosen home. As he said, I've gotten stronger here than you had in your areas, wherever the hell you were. As this is when Raditz went to deliver a full punch to Goku and was grabbed right out of his hand. Goku grabbed the punch and just picked him up and said, you know what? You know what, motherfucker? Gohan? This is your uncle, apparently. And this is when he said, look, if you are my brother, and our race really is the Saiyan race, which would explain the tale, then explain this. Why is it so easy for us to gain strength through training? And he said, I've never trained a day in my life. And this is when Goku would state, and that's your problem. Had you, I wouldn't be able to catch a punch. Raditz saying, oh yeah? What makes you think you're so sure? You're not even the second strongest Saiyan ever. You're not even half as strong as Nappa. This is when he said, but I'm twice as strong as you. That's all I need to be. Goku sang this, scaring the shit out of Raditz. As this is when he wanted to tell them, as this is when Raditz would say, brother, please. As he said, we are trying to defeat Frieza. Your strength would help, but we wouldn't be able to do it alone. We need to gather every Saiyan. As this is when he would say, I will not leave my home unless I absolutely have to. As this is when you would hear Vegeta saying how, oh, if your brother will not join us, then both of you will die. As this is when he relayed the message that what Vegeta had said, and Goku being the one to take it, saying, if you think you can kill me, come try it. You will not threaten my family or my home. That includes my brother, who I recently have met. As this is the first time Raditz has seen compassion since their mother, and he said, you really do take after our mother, don't you, Kakarot? And this is when Goku said, and again, who's Kakarot? Because I know you keep calling me it, but that's not my name. It's Goku. Kakarot is your Saiyan name. The name that grants you the power of the Saiyan race. Also, it's sad that you lost your tail at your power. You'd be unstoppable with it. None of the people here could stop you. As this is when Gohan would look at his uncle and say, "That's the thing. What happens if they needed to?" Why would they need to, boy? As this is when Goku said when he was in Ozaru, he went on rampages many times, and he doesn't want to risk it again. Now, Raditz would say, "You think training is so superior? Show me it then." As this is when even Yamcha would step up and say, "I can show you. I'm a basic human. All I do is train, and you couldn't fuck me up at all. And like you said, our average power level is 5. Y'all's are way higher. You should be able to beat me, but you can't. Isn't that right?" He said, "Correct." As this is when he would wind up joining the Z Warriors. Of course, he would still wear his traditional battle garb, but he wouldn't try to fight as much. Since he knew the battle garb thing is his only tie to the humans. But he would just keep the chest plate. He would keep the chest plate on, but instead of rocking the weird kind of tiny amount of fabric, he would actually get proper Z pants that are bright fucking blue. No, not, yeah, I'll go bright orange with a blue belt. Similar to Goku's and Krillin's, as well as Tien. He basically much has the style of Tien's with the same kind of belt, but change it to blue and orange. As he started training with them, he noted how his Zenkai boosts after each fight, which are what makes Saiyan so much stronger after they are recovered, is why he is so much stronger than all of them after just a week. And I don't mean like stronger than Goku. I mean he's stronger than half the Saiyan. He's stronger than the humans. He's currently at a power level of 290 after a week because Vegeta, he told him how Vegeta had an 18,000 power level and even Nappa had a 5,000 power level. Goku's saying, "Oh, so it would take 2 of us to even take him on." Yes. This is when Piccolo would state that he doesn't want to be the weakest. And actually wound up making a deal and trying to kind of joining them because he didn't want to die. He didn't want to be he said if anyone was going to kill Goku, it would be him. Although he did show them the special beam cannon, saying that it's not like it would work anyway, and I want to see how it stacks up to your Kamehameha, Goku. As he would charge it up for almost 10 minutes, twice as long as it took to kill Raditz in the original, and he shot that beam. Special beam cannon. Goku would say Kamehameha. As the two would clash, we'd see that not even the special beam cannon did really good and actually held up against the Kamehameha, even though Goku was so much stronger than him. As this is when you'd hear, as you see Piccolo actually trying to put everything he's got into it, and actually screaming as it started catching to him, and it was actually going to kill him. Goku redirecting his Kamehameha to the side, which would just basically dart the beams off to out into space. As this is when they noticed that none of them were exactly sub-planet breaker at this point in time. But they would say, if there's someone that strong coming, we're going to need to train. Now, with the advantage of Raditz being there and Goku, Gohan got some mean muscle gains after this. He was like a year training, and instead of being like sub 1,000, being maybe 2,000, 3,000, even if you say he was 5,000 in canon, Chi-Chi's happy because he's still studying. But at this point, Piccolo is training with Gohan as much as Goku is training with Raditz. They're all training together. Because Goku said, if we die, Gohan has to survive. And he's going to be Earth's last line of defense. Because behind us, he's the strongest. As they all train together, even the humans, in Bulma's one that goes all the way up to 50 times Earth's gravity, they wind up making it where it can go up. They wind up taking it to 25 times Earth's gravity, and all of their power levels have gone from around 2,000 something to even the weakest one being Chaozu was way past 5,000. We'll say Chaozu was 6,000. Piccolo, who was tied with the 3 Z Warriors at a power level of, say, 9,000. Goku, Raditz both had a power level of 15,000. And this would be only 6 months of their training. And Gohan had a power level of about 950. Since he had the upper hand over Piccolo for the entire thing. Now, with this power level being as it is, it's still up there. We get to see the strength training and all that, as they would wind up actually after this going to the lookout and trying to get some of the Kami's training. Even Piccolo trying to make amends with Kami and Kami accepting it. He said yes. Since Piccolo doesn't have the same hatred in his heart, the same evil, he's almost pure, if you could say that. Even a pure-hearted Piccolo wouldn't exactly be common, but at this point, it helps having Gohan there. Now, we'll fast forward now at this point, Goku being the only one who's completely pure-hearted. Piccolo is he's close, but he's not really pure yet. Although he's not pure evil as he was before, he's not pure. And Raditz isn't close to pure either. Those two are closer because of Gohan being there, and that kind of softens their heart a bit. But they're not pure. Gohan is, but he's not going to be going on this trip. Goku had the option to go to Snake Way and train with a supreme power of King Kai. As he would accept this because he noted, well, they could do it anyway because their current power levels are 25,000, 25,000, 24,000, 24,000. That's Goku and Raditz, Piccolo and Gohan, and the rest are all at 23,000. Except for Chaozu, who's at 22,000. With this being 6 months in to their training, Goku says, you'll be fine without me. But this is a good opportunity to train. I want to see who this guy is. See what he can give me. Now, when Goku lands on the planet, the 10 times Earth's gravity is nothing to him. Even bringing a gravity chamber of his own. Because he didn't die to go here. He was just given given the option to go by himself. Kami pretty much taking him there. Now, as Kami would get them to this point, to the very start of Snake Way, Goku would start running. Although in this version, most of the hijinks and shenanigans that happened didn't. He just sprinted through Snake Way, passing the cleaner. And within the first week, he was already at Snake Way. Although he noted that in the time it took him to train, in the time it took him to get there, he probably wasn't as strong as he could have been just training. Although he hopes that this grand Kai of Supreme, this king of Kais, would have what he needed. Now, he still almost fell for the Snake Lady, but he didn't fall for her being King Kai. He fell for the fact that she offered a meal and a bath, which, considering he's been running for a week straight, helpful. Although when she turned into a giant snake, Goku just bent his hand back and one smack knocked her clean the fuck out. As he would proceed to get back on Snake Way and and finish running his way through. When he met Bobo, he did still mistake him for King Kai. Although, when this version, King Kai was like, I'm King Kai. And stating how he'd have to catch Bobo. If he could catch Bobo, then he would be allowed. But if he couldn't catch Bobo, he would not be allowed to train. Now, Bobo in this version, that was training for Goku to catch Bobo. It wasn't crap for training this time because Goku immediately caught him by one hand and then just launched him. No tricks, just caught him and launched him. Bobo lands, and this is when King Kai would say, "You're quite the powerful one. Would you be willing to train? I'll be accepting you as a student, a disciple of mine." As first he would try teaching him a little bit about Kaioken and all that, and Goku took the information with a grain of salt. He wasn't fully sure if he needed it. Although he did note if his brother ever went wild, he wouldn't be able to take him without using Kaioken. So he accepted it, training all the way up to 4 times Kaioken. Now note, King Kai had never gone past 2 times 2 Kaioken. Goku going past 4 times, like before even leaving, is impressive. He even was able to make it up to where he went to 5 or 6 times. Right before it's time for him to go, he had one final test, the Spirit Bomb, and other stuff like that, as he went, Kaioken times 12! As he held it for about 20 seconds. As he would stop, because his body was at its limit. 20 seconds of Kaioken times 12, although that made him way more powerful than everything on Earth. And at the end of this, his power level is at least 50,000. That's just base. So he goes on his way because he hears the Saiyans came a day early. Goku planned on resting for that day, but he shows up. Now, of course, they don't need his help. Raditz, who's kind of fallen behind without any good training partners, his power level has only gone up to 30,000. Piccolo, who's been training more with Raditz and still with Gohan, has gone up to, I'd say about 27, no, we'll say 29,000. And then Gohan is actually at the same power level with everyone else at 28,000. Except for Chaozu, who's still about 26,000. Now note, all of them are right there, like behind each other. As we see the Saiyans appear. Now, the first thing that happens, both Raditz and Gohan have their tails, so using the moon would not be a good idea. But this is when he told Nappa to throw a moon up. Nappa throws the moon up, and he says, "Got it." As the moon goes up, first thing Vegeta does is ki blast their tails off. Both of them lose their tail. That's not exactly that big of a loss for them, though. As the second thing that would happen is they fall out of their forms just for Vegeta to power up into his when he stared at the moon. As Nappa would as well. Although Nappa being just about as strong, Raditz said, "I'll take the opportunity to fight Nappa. Can the rest of you take Vegeta?" At least until Goku gets here. Piccolo, using his giant form, doesn't gain him strength, but does make him slightly stronger. Not stronger, but like makes him big enough to go hand to hand. As he locks up with Vegeta, noting that he is a fifth as strong as Vegeta is right now. He gonna get his ass whipped. Although Krillin still uses the opportunity and actually does a complete Destructo Disc. Vegeta tries to dodge, but considering none of them here are weak, and they're all stronger than his base form, yeah, it catches his ass. Now, in this version, Raditz is spinning, running, just fucking Nappa up. As Nappa's trying to grab him and crush him, only problem is, there's legitimately no chance of doing that. When every time he tries to grab him, he's so slow that, well, Raditz will just grab him by his leg and start slapping him into the ground. As eventually, Raditz just rips his tail off. Now, in this version, on their way back to the Frieza planet, Goku still let them leave, because they were too weak to actually be a threat. Vegeta is pissed. He's going to wish for immortality. That doesn't work for two reasons. One, he has no idea what the Dragon Balls are. Although he did hear about them a little bit, about how it's possible to bring back their planet. Although he did have a new idea. He went back to heal, but halfway through they went to another planet, where Nappa was somehow running his mouth, and Vegeta got pissed and just blew him up. Out of spite. Just because Nappa's admitting how bad of an ass whooping Vegeta took. Now note, his ass whooping in this was worse than it was in canon. Legitimately had to have Nappa's help to get inside the thing. And when they finally heal him up and everything, and Nappa's long dead, they noticed that Vegeta's power level went up to about 25,000. That's 1,000 more than it was in canon. Now, of course, the events of... They don't even need to go to Namek this time. Oh, wait, you know what? Let me retcon a little bit of what I said. It wasn't really a fight, but when he went into the giant form, before they had chopped his tail off, Piccolo was actually killed by Vegeta using a mouse beam when he locked up with Piccolo. They went arm to arm, and this is when mouse beamed directly into the stomach, blowing a giant hole in Piccolo's stomach. That's when they chop his tail off, and Gohan goes into a little bit of rage state while Vegeta is tailless, and he's already pissed because he's in the Ozaru form. He's in an enraged Ozaru because he remembers that Piccolo was a friend of his. As you just hear bam, 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 Vegeta absolutely getting his shit rocked. It's not mindless just jumping up and down or falling on him. No, it's just repetitive punching and kicking until Vegeta is just at death's door. So they wind up going to Namek to revive Piccolo. In this version, Bulma goes with Gohan and most of the Z Warriors. Goku would have gone, but this is when he had an idea. Dr. Brief said he was making an even stronger gravity chamber that goes all the way up to 300 times Earth's gravity. This being where Goku would wait and use that spaceship that Dr. Briefs was making. So they make it all the way to the Namek. The events would mostly go as canon with more people, though. Although in this version, when they found Vegeta, when they found Vegeta, Yamcha was basically clowning the hell out of him. And Yamcha's actually about as strong as he is. So when Vegeta tries getting up in his face, Yamcha has to remind him when he dumped all the Cybermen to the ground, and Yamcha alone just ripped them all apart. And then proceeded to punch him square in the eye while he was in Ozaru form. This kind of wounds Vegeta's pride a bit, but he actually does get a little bit more past this. Now, bit by bit and event by event, things would go as canon. Frieza goes into his forms. They fuck it up for a little bit. Now, when the Ginyu Force show up, they are all putting some pause in. Not winning, but putting some pause in. And because Birder couldn't handle how many of them there were, they just ripped his head off. Well, Vegeta ripped his head off. And then, when Recoome came in, the perfect punch happened. You hear, King Ko-Ho! As he said, King Ko what? As he gets hit, just drilled into the ground. This is when Yamcha would use a Wolf Fang fist and basically break Recoome's arm. As Vegeta would do the final blow, blowing his neck up. Now when Birder and Jace would try to attack, we'd have Krillin and Tien trying to fight them off, but they're too quick. One's too quick and the other's just being caught with hook after hook. Although in this version, that's when Goku appears. Goku would show up rocking a maybe 3 times his power level. He would be able to take... His power level was maybe 500,000 in canon. It would be at least 3 million in this version. Now, they're all going to catch up, don't worry. It still took the death of Krillin for them to do this. Now, when the wish was made for everyone to be revived and taken back to Earth, it happened. As they were revived and everything, they're on Earth. Goku is fighting. But in this version, the Z Warriors had given him their power before leaving. But this was a Super Saiyan Goku. His power level was just fucking Frieza up. Now, Goku had still been fucked up in the beginning and then had to go heal. But that's how it is. He would come out of the tank with enough power to easily rock Frieza's shit a little bit. Now, when they are done, said and done, the only one who's even half strong enough to fight, when they come back with King Cold and Cooler, it's just King Cold and Frieza, although it's Mecha Frieza, though Goku could have left him without a mecha because Frieza still went like a big back bitch and blew up the planet. We would see that with Mecha Frieza and King Cold here, every one of them went to fight, Vegeta included, and in this point in time, Yamcha kinda is no longer with Bulma because Bulma broke up with him for something or another. Now with Vegeta, how things happen. This is when we'd see an unmatched ass whooping. Because right before Trunks would show up, they get out the thing. They're handling soldiers by the boatload. Then they go after Frieza and King Cold. They are not going to win that fight. But their power levels have all gotten twice as strong as Goku's was on Namek. From a year of training to be able to see what they're at compared to Goku. So they're putting hands on him. Just not enough. As Vegeta is probably the second strongest one there. Right behind Piccolo, who's the strongest. Or actually Raditz would be the strongest. Piccolo and Vegeta would be at the same level. Then when that's all done, they're fighting. They're doing decent. Trunks shows up, one-shots both of them. That's when we go into the next part. When Goku gets back, he knows he didn't even need to show up. He thought it'd be a bigger deal, but it wasn't. Although, finding out the truth, he said, okay. We'd still skip, Android thing would happen, but the humans aren't irrelevant. During the Cell games, all of their DNA is in Cell, and they can see what moves, what techniques, what abilities that it got from them. Because Cell in this version isn't exactly the same. With more human DNA, he has slightly more human characteristics. Just pretty much more to find him looking more human-esque. Giving him eyebrows. And a third eye. Slightly peeks through. Right on his forehead, you'd see a small third eye from Tien. Now, they would keep training. After the Cell games, Boo happens. They put some work in, not very much. But then, we keep going to Battle of Gods. Beerus appears. And wouldn't you know it, after that, the humans are asking, is there a way they can get God Ki? And ironically, it was Yamcha who asked this in a kind of joking manner. Beerus would say, let us ask, how can humans gain God Ki similar to Saiyans? As there is a form that's pretty much the exact same thing as Super Saiyan God, but with humans, but takes 4 pure-hearted humans and the character and something with God Ki. And that's all it is. Now, of course, after this, pretty much everything would go back to the Goku and Vegeta show, but they would all have God Ki, and during the Tournament of Power, they absolutely rock shit. Like, none of them are even close to losing. Somehow, their universe winds up with everybody still in, when there's only two people left, which is Jiren and their universe. Well, it's Jiren Topo versus the entirety of Universe 7. Universe 7 rocks their shit. Now, when they had the Universe 6 versus 7 bout, it went completely different than canon. Legitimately, anyone there could have handled it. I'm going to say they had Tien and Goku, but in this version, they didn't even lie about Monako being stronger than Goku. They just straight up said, yeah, he's not. But he would try to be, but he's not strong enough. Now, at this point, we'd see Goku kind of vanish off into the thing, doing his little training with Whis and Beerus and all that. Although in this version, the three of them, they went and trained with him. Although, not as much for each of them. They would train on Earth with God Ki. Although they all had God Ki now from training with each other and all that. And any half-human would have even worked. So they pretty much had the kids help them with that. Although they couldn't use Super Saiyan to put the power in. Because, it's Saiyan, not human. That's how things go. If a half Saiyan works, a half human will work. Boom. And that's kind of the end of this What If. Thanks for watching, y'all.